The great thing about having enemies is that you can pretend that all the badness in the whole world is in your enemies and all the goodness in the whole world is in you.
From the iconic absurdity of Monty Python to razor-sharp critiques of today's world, John Cleese reminds us that true intellect isn't beholden to one tribe, and that is intellectual honesty.
What we never hear about extremism is its advantages. Well, the biggest advantage of extremism is that it makes you feel good because it provides you with enemies.
Rather than pitting yourself just on one side, you're intellectually open to discussing all options that will best move us forward. Or rather than belittling someone who thinks differently than you, you're open to analysis and still being respectful of the other person. I wanted to share this interview between John Cleese, liberal, and Rob Schneider, conservative. They're both comics, and so they both have astute observation and social commentary. And although they're not in direct disagreement in this interview, they do present a good example of what it looks like when two people know they don't agree on everything, but they can sit down and have a conversation and laugh and respect each other and have fun nonetheless. So with that, let's take a look at this interview. The other thing is check out the set on GB News. It's pretty cool. Check it out.
He told me not to go to the universities. I got an early warning of that. He said, don't go because they're looking to be offended. And
Chris Rock said that to me as well. And you don't go to those anymore. I think in the 1970s, a very interesting feature for society and for individual communication between people and friends was, don't be so uptight. It's just, don't be so uptight. Yeah. And now it's, how uptight can you get? Yeah. I think you can get more uptight. I think you should be offended.
Oh my gosh, is that the truth? Do you see that? What a fantastic observation. Thank you, Rob Schneider. That's absolutely true. It's almost like people are looking for what's offensive. And even the language policing is people easily being offended when they don't really need to be. You could actually start building character and build a tougher skin and be resolute in who you are without worrying about what other people are saying. Incoming cat. Hi, Lolo. Okay, let's keep going.
By that, because I am. You're not. I'm offended that you're offended. I'm offended that you're not offended, that I'm offended that you're not offended. And I do think that is in play. I don't know where it's going to go.
But the interesting thing is, in the old days, you offended people on the right.
Yes.
Right?
Absolutely.
No, the old sort of soldiers and all those kind of people, or the ones who were very, very historic in their kind of orientation.
Yeah.
They were the ones who walked out. Now most of the offense is on the left.
It is true. I think that you have the offense, to be honest, I think it's like they're both at their extremes, back to back, thinking and being the same way. Whether it's the left, you're here, and they're complaining about something, and it's not too far removed from the right on this side complaining, but they are back to back and complaining.
Another great observation from Rob Schneider. I love it. Yes, it's true. Back to back, speaking in opposite directions. Okay, let's keep going.
But I do think the left it's coming from a place of, it's an intolerance, but it's dressed up as manners.
Yes, it's certainly intolerant, because what I think I don't understand about them is, do they have a sense of humor?
I think so, but I think it's intellectualized to where they can't find themselves laughing. It has to be okayed because it could look badly upon them.
If they did laugh.
Yeah, there's this kind of, as our good friend Andrew Doyle talks about it, there's this certain righteousness about it that it has to be. And it is very much a fundamentalist form of thinking. It's a closed system of thought.
Yeah, that's right.
If you step outside of that, then you're a heretic and you're outside the system.
Wow, that points to something big, and he's absolutely correct. People want to belong, and when you go with the narrative, especially when it's echoed by media, of every kind and echoed everywhere you look in advertising, then there's belonging to this group. And on a deep primal level, we have a need to belong to the group. There's safety with the group. So from way back when, we needed to be included so that we were physically safe. And that is a primal instinct in us. So when we are not connected to other people and when we are not accepted, we become deeply stressed to the point that it causes sickness and disease. It spikes our cortisol up when we are not a part of a group, which is why loneliness, which is an epidemic, leads to disease. It leads to depression and disease, and people who are isolated and alone die earlier because they're not in this social connection. So he tapped into something really big, and it affects our gut health. And you know, I'm all about the gut health. It's connection in our one cell thick gut lining. But when our cortisol spikes, our inflammation is increased and our gut health decreases, creating gaps within our one cell thick gut lining. This is why it's a lifestyle. Anti-inflammatory is a lifestyle because you want to be calming that nervous system. We are so overloaded in this day and age. So we want to be bringing our cortisol down, not up. Okay, thanks, Rob Schneider. That was good. Here we go. Let's keep watching. Hey, be sure to share, like, and subscribe this video. Thanks.
That they desperately want to be in that ideology, no matter how crazy it gets. No matter how lunacy it gets.
And it starts off with a very good idea.
Yes.
Which is let's be kind to people.
Right.
Right?
Well, yes. And as a matter of fact, I mean, who would want to be anti-fascist? I mean, they sure dress it up nicely, don't they? So you don't want to be an who was an anti-fascist? I'm anti-fascist. So who's for Hitler? I mean, who's, you know, and it's like,
who isn't?
yeah, absolutely. And, you know, the woke idea and it seems like it's social justice. Who's against? Are you against social justice? No, I'm not. Why would I be? But it's interesting because for someone who's of a mixed race, I think, well, how if my white part is suppressing my Asian part, how much and where?
Look, there's two types of teasing. There's nasty teasing.
Yeah.
And then there's affectionate teasing. Like you and me, when we see each other, it's a barrage of insults. And it's
Yes.
a kind of compliment, because what I'm saying to you is, you know that I love you, so I can say these terrible things to you, but it's proof that I love you, because I'd never say them to you if I didn't.
So true. And that's a huge part of what we're seeing in the division in our country today. People are completely cutting off friends and family over an ideology. Even if you're not cut off, you're called all sorts of names, lumped in. Automatically, I'm a racist, or I'm a Nazi, or I'm a fascist. And what? Where did this come from? This complete rooting for a team. Like, what? We really need to get back to what we're seeing here, this wonderful exchange between two people observing the world and still respecting each other, not automatically labeling each other, which is so disingenuous. All right, let's keep watching.
Right,
It would be
exactly.
rude.
It
Yes.
would be. And as a matter of fact, it's that kind of affection that says, I trust you, and I
Yes.
trust you that I can be me,
Yes.
and that there's no harm intentions.
Okay, so there we have it. Hey, if you're liking today's content, please be sure to share, like, and subscribe. It means a lot. Thanks. I don't know about you guys, but in my family growing up, we had dinner at the dinner table together every single night, and debate was a love language. My dad would check in with each of the kids, and then we'd talk about politics. He really trained us. He loved to play the devil's advocate, and he trained us to look at all sides of issues. There is so much to be said about being together at the dinner table and connecting the family through conversation and exploring ideas together in a safe environment. Okay, with that, make it a great day. Thanks for watching.
Seriously, though, we've heard a lot about extremism recently, a nastier, harsher atmosphere everywhere, more abuse and bother boy behavior, less friendliness and tolerance and respect for opponents. All right, but what we never hear about extremism is its advantages. Well, the biggest advantage of extremism is that it makes you feel good because it provides you with enemies. Let me explain. The great thing about having enemies is that you can pretend that all the badness in the whole world is in your enemies and all the goodness in the whole world is in you. Attractive, isn't it? So if you have a lot of anger and resentment in you anyway, and you therefore enjoy abusing people, then you can pretend that you're only doing it because these enemies of yours are such very bad persons. And that if it wasn't for them, you'd actually be good-natured and courteous and rational all the time. So if you want to feel good, become an extremist. Okay, now you have a choice. If you join the hard left, they'll give you their list of authorized enemies. Almost all kinds of authority, especially the police, the city, Americans, judges, multinational corporations, public schools, furriers, newspaper owners, fox hunters, generals, class traitors, and, of course, moderates. Or, if you'd rather be an extremist on the hard right, no problem, fine, you still get a lovely list of enemies, only they're different ones. Noisy minority groups, unions, Russia, weirdos, demonstrators, welfare sponges, meddlesome clergy, peaceniks, the BBC, strikers, social workers, communists, and, of course, moderates. And upstart actors. Now, once you're armed with one of these super lists of enemies, you can be as nasty as you like and yet feel your behaviors morally justified. So you can strut around abusing people and telling them you could eat them for breakfast and still think of yourself as a champion of the truth, a fighter for the greater good, and not the rather sad paranoid schizoid that you really are. And all this explains what we've seen at party conferences. Everyone's sitting there looking grim and bored, and then a speaker gets up with real fire in his belly as well as dyspepsia, and he says, "The other party really are the most awful bunch of rotters, the most left-wing or right-wing bunch there's ever been in this great country of ours, and it would be a disaster if they ever got into power or held on to power. That's all, we must get into power or hold on to power, but there's going to be a tremendous fight, a terrific struggle, and we can't relax and enjoy ourselves. No, we must struggle and fight and fight and struggle and struggle and struggle and fight against these enemies, and then struggle a little bit more at the end of that." And then the speaker goes and sits down, and there's a lovely warm glow throughout the hall, as if they'd all had tea and crumpets. And everyone looks relaxed and happy and simply radiant with goodwill. Although, if the speaker had said, "We must all have lots of fun and be nice to each other and cooperate in solving problems," they'd probably have lynched him, or deselected him, or taken all his directorships away. Because attacking our enemies always makes us feel good and excited. In fact, just about the only disadvantage to extremism is that it can never solve problems. But then solving problems is a real bore compared with hailing victory and swearing to smash capitalism and crush socialism and generally feeling good. I mean, solving problems involves frustrating things like listening to people with different views and learning from them.
Hey, be sure to share, like, and subscribe this video. Thanks.